lucky I'm even sitting here entertaining you. Do you hear yourself? Stop it. Look how you look at the mother.
Jackie Christie has been a symbol of turmoil and confidence on Basketball Wives LA for over a decade. She has clapped back without flinching, switched roles, and somehow managed to turn drama into power every time. But in season 12, Chantel, her own daughter, broke her iron hold on her image. And it was not a castmate or an internet troll, as demonstrated by her management of the conflict on the show and her conversations about her marriage. Jackie has always been all about control. According to Doug, she does a flawless job if you watch the show even a little. But what would happen if someone who has spent their whole life honing that performance eventually called it out? Chantel unapologetically, publicly, and emotionally did precisely that. Picture a therapeutic supper with a few cast members scattered around, low lighting, and sunglasses. Before Chantel stepped up first, everything was prepared for a typical BWLA scene. Jackie seemed happy. Jackie had expected this to be one of those look at my perfect kid moments, but Chantel's remarks took away all of her glamour. As she opened her mouth, the room ceased to breathe, her eyes turned red, and her voice wavered. Instead of shadow, Chantel spoke the truth. She asserted that growing up was not romantic or affectionate, but rather all about appearances. Jackie was content when the lights were off, and her depiction of parenting was influenced by what would seem good on camera. All of the actors knew they were not watching a fictitious event, but rather the actual outburst of years of stillness, and Chantel called it emotional manipulation disguised as tough love. Evelyn Lozada, who typically cannot resist speaking up, did not move either. Jennifer Williams blinked and froze. Neither the production nor the interruption or commercial change occurred. They let Chantel speak openly and truthfully. She talked about how Jackie turned every disagreement into a tale about her own salvation, how she felt emotionally abandoned, and how she was confused as a child, questioning whether her mother really loved her or whether she was merely a plot device. Things got ugly at this point. You're not going to humiliate me on public television without sobbing, apologizing, or even hugging her daughter, Jackie remarked simply as she sat there. That was it. No empathy, no gentleness, just control. Finally, viewers saw that this was not a tough mom being called out, but rather a lady losing control of the narrative she had painstakingly created for 12 seasons. When hashtags gained popularity and viewers started pointing out trends in previous recordings, social media took off, and people started talking about generational wounds, emotional trauma, rather than just reality shows, and how some mothers dodged responsibility by invoking the concept of respect. What had seemed like fiery entertainment started to look more like carefully orchestrated manipulation, and Chantel did not stop there. The next night, she went live on Instagram with swollen eyes, no makeup, no background music, just her and the truth. She said that although she had never intended to talk about this in public, the fact that her mother only pays attention when the camera is rolling really got to her. Not because he loved her, but because it would harm the company's brand. Jackie once told her to keep their issues hidden, she revealed. Everything was absolutely turned upside down by that one sentence, which confirmed what people had started to speculate. Jackie was standing up for herself and Chantel, not for her family. The silence was too much for her. The effects were felt right away. Brooke and Evelyn crowded off camera, muttering as though they had just seen a ghost, both in the cast and online. Jennifer sank back in her chair with a glass in her hand, obviously startled. Brutus and Duffy exchanged those reserved glances when the situation was too genuine to talk about. No one knew what to say because Chantel had shown an open wound that was not dramatic. After filming the most unfiltered moment the show had ever seen, producers were running backstage. No pretense, no do-overs, no clever editing that would soften it. One of the crew members reportedly said, "We did not plan for this to go so far." The funny, vulnerable, hold a mirror to the whole dang franchise type, on the other hand, they knew they did not struggle with. They knew the ratings were going to skyrocket. But instead of money, Jackie witnessed treachery. As soon as the camera stopped filming, she ran off the set. According to reports, she approached the producers directly and requested that they take down the video. Her assertions that it was an ambush, that she was not warned, and that her daughter had been duped into performing a takedown were not taken seriously by anyone, especially the fans. On social media, it was a wildfire. In addition to making fun of Jackie, people were dissecting her clips from earlier seasons and pointing out all of her little idiosyncrasies. The whole truth was on fire now that Chantel had struck the match, as if the internet had been waiting for this moment. The domineering conduct and the questionable parenting situations. Jackie gave a perfect deflection in response. G posted a photo of herself and Doug on social media, along with a comment about intense loyalty and a mysterious Bible phrase. The fans understood the message that family is not always blood. In thousands of responses, she received criticism for utterly failing to see the message. Without a single word recognizing Chantel's pain, it was all vibrations, denial, and mysterious Instagram energy. Chantel, however, said nothing. Only that one is alive. No clapping back, no follow-up posts. That quiet, to be honest, had more impact than anything Jackie had posted on social media. Everyone could see that exposing the truth was more crucial than preserving the spotlight. But behind the scenes, chaos reigned. Jackie claims that producers started putting pressure on them to re-edit future episodes, cutting down Chantel's screen time, dismissing her role, and even suggesting that the sequence was a mother-daughter misunderstanding. However, once something that authentic is broadcast, it cannot be taken down. Depending on your perspective, either the mending process had started or the damage had already been done. Then, in a sudden change of circumstances, Malaysia Pargo stepped in. She made the public remark even though she was not at the scene. She told a story on how sometimes the cameras do not get everything and how mothers should also be respected. It was not easy, but fans quickly realized the connection and were not receptive. One of the comments that filled her post was, "Respect is earned, not demanded. Do not let the name Mom protect you from trauma." As though we had not just watched a lady break on national television, Malaysia is out here supporting Jackie. One tweet even went so far as to claim that there was division within the fan base. While some were outraged, others backed Malaysia. All of this led to an unpleasant revelation. This was not just a family quarrel. Instead, it acted as a mirror for everyone who has ever had to put up with hardship in order to preserve a positive family image. For the first time in 12 seasons, Jackie Christie was no longer untouchable, putting pressure on the show and producers to decide what to do next. And now they knew how huge this tale had grown. The reunion tape was intended to bring everyone together, promote harmony, and give the cast members the freedom to handle the issue any way they feel fit. Instead, it destroyed what was left of Jackie's reputation. As soon as she stepped onto the set, the vibe was off. Several insiders claimed that she merely showed tension, uncomfortably tight, heavy tension. Jackie refused to watch Chantel's moment being reenacted, refusing to look her in the eye, engage in conversation, or demonstrate her trademark snark. As soon as the clip began, she repeatedly stood up and departed the set. What is crazy is that everyone understood this had nothing to do with pain. It has to do with control. The only item she had left in her seat was that. She declared that she would not permit producers to exploit her real sorrow in order to increase views. Jackie's voice was cold when she finally addressed it. She did not think about it or say sorry. Instead, she blamed Chantel for creating conflict in the family and accused the show of exploiting her role as a mother. When Jackie refused to acknowledge her daughter's suffering without turning it into a betrayal, Jennifer Williams confronted her. Jackie shouted, "You have no idea what goes on behind closed doors." But that merely emphasized the fact that she was more focused on hiding than on getting better. On the other hand, fans were not just passively observing. They began distributing petitions, urging Chantel to become a full-time cast member. People wanted to see someone who was not playing a character on the show. They were interested in her adventure. In addition to being appreciated, her emotional openness was necessary for a show that focused heavily on drama. She had a knife-like vulnerability. This alteration was known to the H1 makers. Many tweets went viral. There was a lot of discussion, and even mental health experts shared their thoughts. What had started out as just another reality TV feud had evolved into a national conversation about toxic parenting. The series underwent a sea change as it began to focus more on Jackie's values than just her. There was talk of major changes. Internal sources suggest that Jackie's screen time could be significantly cut. Restructuring the narrative in the second half of the season could give Chantel's voice more significance. Viewers were no longer willing to put up with performative parenting as entertainment, not because they were bitter. For the next season, there were even talks about terminating Jackie entirely. Duffy added her voice to the conversation by writing in an enigmatic Instagram story that loyalty that demands silence in the face of suffering is not loyalty, rather it is fear. Fans inferred from the words that the cast was not only shaken, but also changing. People were picking sides, drawing lines, and Jackie was growing increasingly isolated. In her last post after the reunion recording, Jackie wrote, "Still the mother, still standing, always will be," in an effort to control the publicity. But that did not work out the way she had hoped. Comments poured in, confirming Chantel's accuracy while continuing to veer off topic and miss the mark. This was no longer a simple storyline. Rather, it was a full-fledged reckoning, and for the first time, the audience did not back the loudest voice in the room. Instead, they sided with the silent individual who spoke first. Chantel not only exposed her mother, but also a complete culture of silence, and now that the reflections are visible to the world, there is no turning back. Chantel is the one with the truth, despite Jackie's attempts to twist the facts.